The next question comes from Chuck Johnson, and we'll go to Mr. Fellows.
Mr. Fellows, if federal funds aren't found by August, the money that's sent to the states for highway construction and bridge construction by the federal government will be postponed, delaying projects. House Republican leadership recently suggested cutting Saturday mail delivery and using that money for the highway funding. Do you agree or disagree, or how would you come up with the federal highway funds?
Well, I would have to disagree with that notion. We have the Highway Trust Fund, and the problem with the Highway Trust Fund in the old days, they didn't spend more than they didn't spend more than they had. So even if projects had to take a little longer, they still got done. Of course, nowadays we're overspending, and that's the trouble with Congress. They're using a lot of different funds to pay for the highway construction projects when the Highway Trust Fund, through our gas taxes, is supposed to pay for all this. And that's one of their few suggestions I guess they have is say, well, what we're going to do is cut Saturday delivery to pay for the Highway Trust Fund. A lot of Montanans aren't going to accept that notion that they're going to lose Saturday delivery just because Congress wants to spend more money, and I would certainly object to that, and if elected to Congress, would vote against that proposal.
Mr. Lewis, your answer?
We're a highway state. Highways are lifeblood. If you travel all over all 56 counties, you realize just how important infrastructure is to this state. And we can't have economic development and continue to grow our economy in Montana without infrastructure. And so we need an investment in infrastructure in Montana. And many of our bridges are failing. Highways, I've known from personal experience driving on them that need improvement. And so we've got to find a solution to the Highway Trust Fund. I don't support ending Saturday delivery. That's another idea in Washington that hurts rural America. Seniors that live in some of the small towns I've been to depend on that Saturday delivery. And it could be prescription drugs in the wintertime. So we've got to find a solution. We've got to invest in infrastructure, and highways are one of them. So,
Mr. Zinke, your answer?
Well, I don't think it's an either-or answer. You know, a country that doesn't invest in the future, suffers in the present. And you look at Montana, and try to get cell phone coverage between our cities. I mean, there's better cell phone coverage in Iraq today in a civil war than there is in Montana. Our highways, we're probably $500 million behind if you add up what's in the Red Book. So how do we get there? We'll go back to bureaucracy. If you like statistics, in 1 year alone, 2012, unelected bureaucrats, through rules, we're talking Sarbanes-Oxley if you're corporate, or Dodd-Frank in banking, inflicted about $3.6 trillion of damage on business. Trillion. That's roughly equivalent to our budget for 1 year. So investment, is there dollars for investment? Absolutely. But we got to get government out of business to grow the economy. You can cut some, maybe 10%. Can't tax anymore. The way out of our problems in this country is to grow the economy, create jobs, and energy independence.
Mr. Fellows, your response?
Well, I think sometimes, too, the highway bills include too many pork projects. I can remember the highway bill in 2005 that was spending massive amounts of money with the Republican majority in Congress, and George Bush threatened to veto that bill if they didn't get their spending down. But there was over 400 and close to 500 different add-ons to that bill that dealt with things that weren't necessarily related to infrastructure, to highways. You had the Harley-Davidson Museum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You've got the bus museum somewhere. These are things that shouldn't be in the highway bill at all. And when you look at things in Montana, we spent over $1 million for an access roads from Giant Springs State Park to the main road. And so that's the kind of stuff that we spend money on. And so we got to prioritize where our essentials are.
Mr. Lewis, your response?
well, I agree we need to get government out of business. But when it comes to infrastructure and highways, we need help. And here's one way the private sector can help. Corporations have over $2 trillion in accounts overseas. Let's encourage corporations to invest in America and encourage them to purchase infrastructure bonds to help pay for highways and infrastructure in this country and help solve the Highway Trust Fund crisis.
Mr. Zinke, your response.
Well, I agree that we should encourage corporations to come back to America. Let's come back. Let's make our energy program, the barriers to business, let's lower them so you can make a profit. And profit's not a dirty word. Profit allows good wages. It allows benefits. Think about 20 years ago in a business in Montana. 20 years ago, wages were higher. You could get a job, a 40-hour work week that actually had benefits. In Montana, it's not so. So it is about getting government out of business, lowering the barriers so we can grow the economy and energy independence. And if we become energy independent, which we can in 5 years, we can bring back manufacturing, particularly in the natural gas. I'm an optimist. I think we can do it.